Space Action Podcast with your hosts Chris Carson and D.C. and Shama.
Welcome to Space Action Podcast, an extension of Space Action Heroes, which you can find at spaceactionheroes.com. I'm Chris Carson.
D.C. and Shama.
And this week we are discussing the shit show that is Solo, a Star Wars story.
The Star Wars movie that no one wanted.
Yeah, no one wanted this. No one wanted this.
I'm going to preface this by saying, because I was saying to Chris earlier, I don't want this to become the grumpy old men show. I want these movies to be good.
Yeah, me too.
I want them to be likable. I love this universe. It's my playground.
I agree 100%.
But, like, the past two movies have just been very... it's
almost intangibly bad.
It's a very specific tone they're going for
right
now, where it's a very strong arm of like, no, Star Wars is no longer going to be this episodic thing, which I don't think it has to be.
No.
I'll get into that later. I have a dream Star Wars story that I want to run by you.
All right, perfect.
That they'll never fucking do, but oh my god, I'm telling you. They're just very clearly like, this is just a property now. Like Batman, like the Marvel Universe, like the fucking... Garbage Pail Kids.
Right, yeah.
This is a property.
This is the thing.
We're just gonna do whatever now.
As George Lucas described it, he sold it to white slavers. George's words.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah.
He gets to say it though, Chris. He has a black wife.
It's true.
So that makes it okay.
And he's not wrong. he's not exactly wrong. He sold it to corporate slavers, let's say.
I don't think it comes as any surprise that this movie turned out the way it did.
No, not at all. And we'll get into that too.
We all knew, like, about the Phil Lord and Chris Miller getting kicked off the project,
bringing in Ron Howard.
Ron Howard essentially retooling the whole movie. The second he was like, we've cast Vision, Paul Bettany as a main villain.
Oh yeah,
that late into production, I was like, that doesn't bode well.
Yeah, because he was originally played by another
Michael
guy.
K. Williams.
And then all the reshoots meant that he had prior obligations that he couldn't come back for.
Yep, and that's why fucking Paul Bettany never leaves a room
the
entire movie.
He shot that in an hour.
It drove me nuts. Like the fact that his yacht just shows up on both planets.
Yeah,
conveniently.
I was so confused.
Like
by
no
the
one
yacht thing.
calls him. He just shows up.
Actually, from this moment on, spoilers. So this is all you get if you haven't seen the film or if you care about spoilers. Because I want to say Darth Maul is the new Thanos of the Disney interconnected universe. They're just going to keep teasing him, aren't they? For some big reveal at some point.
So you don't follow Rebels.
Well, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, was that because Disney realizes that statistically Star Wars is aimed at like middle-aged people, like 35 and up, they don't have a huge kids market the way Marvel does.
Oh, is that why?
So it seems like when they bought the IP, they were like, okay, nothing is canon anymore except for the 6 films and these 2 animated series, because there's so many kids watching these animated series. So they're bringing in stuff from the animated series to get kids to jump from Marvel to Star Wars. But it was so awkward because it wasn't like cool or natural of him under his hood. He literally like showed off his robot legs and lit his lightsaber for no reason. It was like, also, I'm Darth Maul, but I'm old now.
The lightsaber he carries in Rebels too, where I'm like, okay, so they can repackage that toy.
Oh yeah,
keep selling it, you know what I'm saying?
Couldn't they have just made him look the same, Ray Park from Episode 1? Because if they established in this movie that Chewie is 190 years old, couldn't Darth Maul's species live long? Why did he have to look like an old woman in makeup?
Oh,
like,
I didn't...
He was so old
was he?
looking. Yeah.
I thought it was... Because I know they definitely CGI'd that. That was not him in makeup.
I thought... Actually, if that's CGI, that's really amazing.
No, that's not. There's no way.
I thought it was.
I'm 90% sure. Let's see. I think I saw it even on... fucking John.
Either way, though, if it was a guy in makeup or if CGI, they chose to make him super old.
I didn't notice he looked much older. Again, that's probably a take on Rebels. In Rebels, he looks a little bit baggier. But having said that, so you know the expanded universe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do the old expanded universe.
The old expanded.
I haven't followed it in a while.
Right. The Black Sun.
Yeah.
Was an organization for anyone who's a Star Wars nerd will know this.
That's because it was Crimson Dawn in this one?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And they even kept the character named Voss. Now, there was a Darth Maul comic book that came out around 99, Phantom Menace, that was fucking brilliant. It was essentially just The Crow, but with Darth Maul.
Okay.
Sidious is like, the Black Sun's been a thorn in my side, wipe him out. So he just systemically kills everybody from
Goes
the
through
bottom
them,
up.
okay.
So I feel like someone just read that comic, saw Darth Maul and the words Black Sun, it was like, Black Sun, he's red, crimson
Dawn?
Sun,
Crimson
Dawn.
Dawn.
Okay, Darth Maul's the new leader
Yeah.
of Black Sun.
Wait, so what was the crime organization that Paul Bentley was the head of?
I thought that was also Crimson. I thought he was just like a general.
Okay. It got so confusing at one point.
A ruthless crime lord who has a history with Beckett. It says on Wikipedia. It's real. I thought he was just like he reports to Darth. Darth Maul's like the
Right.
fucking chief emissary of this new organization. He's just like a general.
I was confused. I honestly didn't know. Like, I was just like, oh, is this a competing gangster that like had her Daenerys Targaryen there as a plant in Paul Bentley's organization?
No.
I don't know, but I was kind of checking out by that point, so
yeah.
I was missing shit.
Oh, yeah.
The Kessel Run confused the hell out of me too, because they.
What? Can we go over what the fuck happened?
What is the Kessel? First of all, okay, so the Kessel Run is apparently just getting refined spice or an unrefined spice to the refinery in a certain amount of time. For some reason, they can't do it on the same planet. I don't know if they said why. So the Kessel Run isn't a race. It isn't like a challenge. It's just like a production line. It's like basically where, Mack trucks deliver their shit through. And they still kept it ambiguous whether or not a parsec is a measurement of distance or time, because it could have been either. Them taking the shortcuts could have cut time off,
and
or
distance.
distance.
I think that was the idea.
There was distance.
There were a couple things, like you remember in Rogue One, the way they plugged the hole of like, hey, the Death Star trench. Why is there a 2-meter port? Because Matt Nicholson put it there. They kind of did a similar thing here. There are a couple of them I didn't mind. Like, I like the way we actually have a core explanation how Han won the Falcon, quote, fair and square.
Fair and square.
He fucking took the card. So when Harrison Ford kind of gives him that look in Empire, fair and square, it's like, you fucking knew you were cheating. I kind of dug that.
Even though the hug and everything, doing the exact hug from Empire.
There were
like,
I hate you, I know, like that. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah,
little things like that.
Cringe.
Oh, it was just like, what was my original point I was going to say about fucking Lando? Because that just frustrated the fuck out of me.
Finn uses parsec in Last Jedi, and again, ambiguously, whether or not it's a measurement of distance or time. So
what
it's
does
like,
Finn say?
He says we're 5 parsecs away from the fleet, or 4 I don't remember. It was 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I was like, is that are you going to remain keeping this ambiguous?
I guess that's that's their Deckard's a replicant.
I
guess
guess
they just keep it going now.
You're gonna build a franchise where you don't know if something's a measurement. What if you ever have to say, "I'll be there in 5 minutes"? Are you just gonna say minutes? Or are you gonna throw up some Star Wars word?
Probably.
Like, I don't know.
There was a lot of cherry picking references in this one, and it just got out of control for me. They were like Bosk or fucking Felicia, and I'm like,
they're trying to create that subconscious, like, oh, I recognize that planet. Oh, this is the universe.
It was too much, and I'm like, stop trying to tent pole shit. I'm like, Bosk.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Just, can you please stop trying to rope shit in that we know, and just have the confidence to make something fucking new? The thing that drove me nuts the most about that movie is that if I asked you, like, Davey, what'd you think? Hold on. And? David, you're killing me. Dead air's no good for a podcast.
Oh, he's getting stage fright.
God damn it.
Oh. That was almost a Davey cameo.
What we know about Han Solo, he's friends with Chewie. Mm-hmm. He owns the Millennium Falcon. Mm-hmm. He has that blaster. Mm-hmm. He did the Kessel Run.
He was a scumbag until he had to help the rebels out in Episode 4. Oh, wait, no, not anymore. His character arc is now destroyed. Oh, and Han Solo financed the rebellion. Don't forget about that.
It was just like they took such a superficial view of this character and then tried to write a plot through it. Mm-hmm. The actual plot of this movie makes no sense. The man separated for his girlfriend. So what does he do? He sees a recruitment center.
Fuck.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Follow me here. Yeah. He sees a recruitment center. He's like, I'll hide in the military. So then he joins the military to become a pilot. Next thing you know, he's on a bumblefuck planet.
He's kicked out, from an officer's. He said he was kicked out from the officer school. And
so he's a cadet now.
So now he's no, he's not even a cadet. He's an enlisted man. He's infantry.
And his plan is to go back to Corellia and save Daenerys by joining the military.
Yeah.
So while he's there, he runs into Woody Harrelson, who's pulling a heist with Thandie Newton.
Yeah.
And he forces his way into the team. They fuck up the heist, so they have to do another one.
Yeah.
That's the plot of this movie. It makes no... But there's... And Han has nothing to do with any of it. No. He's just tagging along the entire time.
And then there's a bait and switch at the ending, which I was so utterly confused by because there was no setup for the bait and switch. It was all just switch. Where they got the refined spice... and then the evil alien took off its mask, and it was just like a girl.
Yes.
And it was like, you should help us out, and then it just kind of cut. So it was no indication of like, all right, I got a new plan, Chewie, or something. And so when he takes the refined spice to Vision,
yes,
he's like, oh, this is fake. And then it turns out, oh, it's not fake, it's real, because they did a double cross, and the people back on the planet have the fake spice, and he has the real spice, and he brought it with him. And I was like, wait, was that ever a plan that he didn't have the real spice? Did we as an audience ever think, oh, he's going to try and trick him with fake spice? Oh, wait, no, it's real spice.
There was that part
all
where
switch. There was no bait.
He had a sidebar with Woody Harrelson at one point, and they cut away where he's like, "Here's my plan." I think that was kind of the
implied.
It was
so confused. Granted, I was checking out, but I was so confused at that. I was like, "What's happening now? Wait,
we can figure this out. We're two reasonably intelligent adults." So that
how did this happen? We're smarter than this.
So wait, so he takes the canisters to fucking Vision. These are the real ones.
But it seemed like Han thought they were the real ones, but Vision didn't.
Vision was sending those pirates to bust the trade.
So I guess the implication was that he talked to Woody and said, "My plan is to leave the real stuff here."
And then Woody told Homeboy, and he was like, "Aha!"
But we didn't see that though. So wouldn't it have been a better bait and switch if we'd seen the conversation of Han having the plan, and then turns out, oh, Han didn't do the plan, but instead there was no plan, just an implication of a plan. And then there was... I was so confused.
It's really murky.
It was so murky, and I was so confused.
And that's what bummed me out the most about this whole thing, was that the one thing I kept hearing about this flick before coming out was like, oh, that script, the Kasdan boys wrote this amazing script. It's the best Star Wars script ever written.
It was terrible.
And act after act after act, I'm like, this is the most predictable, lukewarm water... fucking version of this movie you could have done. Like,
the second he was thrown into the mud pit, and I was like, if Chewbacca's in there, I'm gonna fucking spit. And then Chewbacca showed up. I was like, yeah,
because they filmed it exactly like that scene from Jedi where they throw him in Jabba's jail, and I'm like, you're not even trying to be subtle. Like.
And apparently, even though Han has no love for the Empire, he will keep a name that
the Empire gave him.
An Imperial recruitment officer.
You have no people, sir.
I guess you're Solo. I made the joke, and I think I wrote it down. And I sent it to you, but it's somewhere to prove it that I said that it was going to be Woody Harrelson that named him,
right?
By being like, oh, you're a kid, you're on your own, you got no people, you're Solo. But no, even that, as bad as that would have been, they somehow made it worse. That it was an Imperial recruitment officer that named him.
Once again, I'm going to try and do what I did with Last Jedi and find the things I really like. I loved seeing Corellia. I've been a fan of Corellia in the expanded universe since I was a kid, because it's Detroit. It's the Motor City.
It's the production line.
Yeah, Princess Leia's ship, the Star Destroyer is what they put in. The Millennium Falcon, they're all Corellian freighters. So I like the way they did portray, like when they were doing that speeder chase on the dock, it looked like Detroit.
Right.
I really like the aesthetic of it.
Well, I was just going to say, I would have loved the aesthetic of it too if it hadn't been so washed out and colorless.
It was really bland.
The movie was ugly as hell.
I could half the time, it looked like you were looking through a lens smudged with Vaseline.
It was almost black and white, but like with a teal hue. It was so ugly. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the cinema, because I know you're not a fan of Rogue One, but you can admit that movie has some beautiful
it's very
shots.
pretty looking.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
And like that's what you kind of want these Star Wars stories. And even Last Jedi has some gorgeous cinematography in it.
Everything about those movies in terms of like the color palette they selected, I think is great. Like Rogue One is a beautiful film.
But this one, I don't know what happened. Like even from the trailers, I remember being like, "This looks really like they're phoning it in."
It looked like it was obviously muddied down in post.
Yes.
So it seems like they just shot flat because they had to do it so
that
quickly.
Airport terminal scene really stuck out, where everything's all dark, the background's covered in fog, and I'm like, "This isn't lit well at all." It's like,
why is and also like when in doubt, animate fog, right? When you think your effects might be janky, put fog in there, and the whole movie was fog.
I also got to get into something, and it hurts. It hurts so badly, Chris Carson, because right now, "This Is America" is my fucking anthem. I listen to that song like twice a fucking day.
You didn't like his Lando?
I really hoped he was going to do something more than just a B+ Billy D. Williams impression.
Did you notice that it wasn't always though? So I'm wondering if
it wasn't consistent.
I'm wondering if that's the disparity between the director switch up. I wonder if the Lego guys were like, "Be yourself," and then Ron Howard was like, "No, do a Billy D impression."
I kind of just wish he was a little bit more Troy, just like a wholesome dude. Like he could have just lost the accent, but he kept trying to do that kind of slap Billy D. And I was like, "It's okay, dude. You can just." He's not doing Harrison Ford's voice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
are you familiar with Derek Comedy? His original comedy troupe?
God, Derek Comedy's genius. Anyone who's never seen Derek Comedy, look up Spelling Bee right now.
But do you remember the sketch about how they all want to have sex with the picture of the bowl of fruit?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Donald Glover is waiting with like a cup of wine?
Oh, hello indeed.
And that's the thing. Every time he was doing the Billy D impression, all I could hear in my head was an innocuous bowl of fruit. Because he was doing that same kind of slightly British-ish accent.
So go get that picture.
Yeah.
So I can check out.
Check out to it. I was like, why is Lando just a Derek comedy sketch?
That kind of bummed me out, man, because that's what I kept saying to everybody, like, you should just call this movie Lando. And after seeing, like, his kind of... to me, Lando was always kind of a badass.
Yeah.
The Empire gets up in his grill, they force him to betray his best
he had
friend.
no other option.
And he's like, fuck this. He grabs two guns, busts them out of jail, and they shoot their way out of there. Next one, he flies into the second Death Star. The first one, they were like, dude, 2 meters is too small. We could barely make that. Lando's like, I'm going to fly the Falcon into the superstructure.
Well, actually, Vagina Face is going to fly it, but I'm going to be there.
Wait, no, he's in the captain's seat.
I guess that's true. He's a co-pilot.
He's totally
What's Vagina Face's name?
Ninum.
Ninum. Yeah. He's still alive. They didn't unceremoniously kill him off like Akbar.
No, he lives.
He's out there somewhere, yumming it up.
But... it kind of bummed me. I love Don Glover. I think he's one of the most talented people in the film industry.
I've been following him since Derek Comedy.
Exactly, me too. Troy Barnes, fucking Atlanta is easily my favorite television show on right now. So I guess my expectations were just really high that he was going to be the perfect Lando. But I was like, of course he would just... No, I'm see. Yeah. I calmed down.
But I think the thing, like, Donald Glover is an amazing comedian, an amazing musician. I'm not sure how great of a dramatic actor he is.
But he didn't have to be dramatic.
I know. Man. That's the thing. So he probably was a little more on the funny side for the Lego guys.
Yeah.
And then, because they even said, there was a report about how they brought in a dialogue coach for everybody. Specifically for this kid playing Han. Which I never once bought him as Han Solo.
No, but I didn't mind him.
I didn't mind him.
If he was just random kid,
if he was just a dude,
I would have been totally fine with this movie.
Yeah, if he was like Han's illegitimate bastard son, and this was a sequel, that would have been fine. But he didn't have the presence of Harrison Ford. He didn't have, and I said this to you before, is that like in universe, Han Solo is a shithead. Mm-hmm. We love him because he's kind of a dick. Yeah. This kid was in universe super lovable. You want to be his buddy in universe.
Though? That was one thing that really bugged the shit at me. Is every single time all of Han Solo's traits were just emphasized by other characters. Like, don't worry, he'll do it. He's brave. He's the best pilot.
It's
like,
true.
Granted, there's the scene where he flies the Falcon, does the castle run, but that's like in the end of the second act of the movie
with the John Williams music, and then awkwardly intercut with
the asteroid chase.
Yeah,
that bugged the shit because the asteroid chase is also very near and dear to my heart.
Well, that really took me out of it too, because whoever did the music for this one, it felt like Star Crash. And I always reference Star Crash because I love Star Crash. John Barry did the music for Star Crash, but Roger Corman, I believe, produced. And it was a Star Wars ripoff that came out like 2 years later.
Yes, you showed me this.
And the music, the main theme from Star Crash, they either by accident or design copied as the main theme for Rogue One.
Yes,
so you don't know if it
that's why I know it.
It was a callback. But the music sounds like someone doing a bad John Williams impression, and the music for this one sounded like someone doing a bad John Williams impression. So it really was jarring to me to hear the actual John Williams music, and then all of a sudden it would be this other score that sounded like a horrible attempt to copy like the master that is John
Powell's
Williams.
The composer. I mean,
John Powell.
Yeah, Pan. He's did that Jason Bourne series.
But everything sounded like the thing you do. Oh, I'm doing Star Wars music, so it has to be like rum tum 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 tum. But no one gets it right though. No one has the pacing of Williams. No one has the finesse of Williams.
No,
they never get it right. Vanessa Williams.
Maybe giggle.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other thing I had to bring up, the fucking robot.
Oh, is now the Falcon. I have a theory about that. Because Kathleen Kennedy has been very forward about how she wants to make Star Wars for women now.
Yep.
Which, fair enough, whatever. We got a lot of Star Wars, whatever. But do you think, it's maritime tradition to call a ship she, but that's considered pretty kind of borderline sexist now. You're objectifying it, calling it a she. They've always called the Falcon she. So is this their way of retconning it? Because now the Falcon is a sentient character with the brain of a female droid in it.
Gotcha.
So
now it's kind of them covering their bases, like, she's a beautiful ship, we can get away with saying it now.
Right? Maybe I'm overthinking that, but it was odd that they gave the Falcon a consciousness.
It was interesting when they mentioned that, because today I was looking online, and apparently in the 80s radio dramatization, I think I read this on the IMDb page, they, what do you call it? 3PO talks about it. It's briefly in the movie. I don't know where your computer.
Oh yeah, because he's
communicate. He's talking to the Falcon.
No, you need to talk to the Falcon to find out.
Yeah. In the dramatization radio version, he says she's very rude. So it does kind of identify the Falcon's computer as a woman back in the 80s,
female person. That's fair.
So they could have just been referencing that.
No, so I'm
maybe.
gonna have to cut that part out so I don't. Like, you're part of the problem, motherfucker. Thinking it's for political reasons. I didn't know that. That makes sense. But still, at the same time, it's really stupid that we got to see a consciousness be uploaded. So what was the Falcon before? Like how did Lando
I guess
fly
so.
it
Remember
before?
the way? Okay, this is how much of a Star Wars dork I am. I know this. You know the way the astromechs plug into the X-wing. The X-wing doesn't have the computer database to have the entire star chart in it. So the astromech is like a USB drive that you plug in. So I think that's what that droid was for the Falcon. You plug her in like you would R2. She downloads all the star charts in, and then you can take.
So is that? But we never saw her plugged into the Falcon, did we?
She pops in. Remember, she hits her head and
Oh,
shit.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I was checking out for a lot of this. Actually, I wanted to tell a fun story about that because the Friday night the theater was empty, except for there was an entire row, a girl squad, who came in, all probably 15, 16, all on their cell phones.
Really?
And like tube tops.
Weird.
Sat right in front of me, entire row. It was like, the whole theater's empty. What the fuck? But they were all chatting and on their cell phones before the movie started, and I had the thought in my head of like, I'm gonna have to I have to be that grumpy old asshole and be like, dude, your cell phone light is blinding me. I can't see. The movie started. They were all Snapchatting the opening of the movie because you don't live unless you live through your phone now. And then they stopped. They put all their phones away and they were just watching the movie quietly. And then, but halfway through the movie, all the cell phones started coming out, and I was sitting there and I just thought, I didn't take my phone, but if I had, I probably would be doing the same thing because they were so disinterested. I couldn't even get annoyed because I was like,
you can't.
I was looking over the girl right in front of me. I was just reading the text she was writing and being like, this is way more entertaining than the movie.
This is my escape from this escape.
I just couldn't care because I didn't take my cell phone with me, and I had the thought of like, I'd be doing the same thing if I had my phone on me. This is so
I would love
boring.
if one of them turned around like, oh, I'm sorry, like, go ahead.
No,
it's fine.
It's completely fine. I couldn't care less. Girl Squad, you are.
Do it up.
Do you.
Tell your friends not to watch. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I mean, whatever. It's gonna make a bunch of money. The whole, that's the one thing I wanted to bring up. I remember now. The droid revolution thing. So even in a movie without the rebellion, we need to have some sort of rebellion theme.
Right.
I get it. Fine.
It was always a wink that they were a serving class. The
Yeah.
droids. They were more like English serving class than slavery or anything.
Kind of felt again like, don't you see, Finn? There's someone who profits on both sides. I'm like, did you just watch WALL-E?
Right.
And steal that scene from WALL-E where all the robots rebel and take over the plant and comically trance everyone through the halls and just decide to put the Millennium Falcon in the middle of all of it? I was like, why? It took up a lot of the movie. It felt a little bit, not like Ewokish in the sense of like, okay, you could have cut this.
This didn't need to be there.
Yeah, you could have streamlined this.
And I said this on the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi podcast, where I'm like, I'm all for social commentary in sci-fi. Just that's what Star Trek is for.
Right.
Star Wars is about escapism. I don't want to see real world parallels in Star Wars. I want to see that in Star Trek, but I guess Star Trek isn't doing that anymore.
Oh, and I also want to bring this up, 'cause this is how much I want to get into the deep cuts of this movie, man. Fucking R.I.P. Aura Singh.
What?
I don't know if she was already dead in the expanded universe. She's the bounty hunter during the pod race who's standing in the... She's a
right. And then they had a whole series of comics and stuff about her.
Yep, she eventually went on to train Boba Fett as a bounty hunter, which is kind of fucking metal.
But you mean Clone Fett, unfortunately?
Unfortunately, Clone Fett. I know. I prefer it when it was what was his name? Jason Wintergreen, the old cowboy voice.
Oh, I can't stand the Kiwi voiceovers in the special editions.
Sounds like he just said it over a telephone really quickly. He's
we talked about this before. It's the "As You Wish" sign that bugs me because the original "As You Wish" was more like a sarcastic, like "As you wish, asshole," but now it's a servitude, like "As you wish."
Yeah. No, the one that gets me the most is because the original dude, like, he had that, like, he sounded like a cowboy that had his throat slit.
No
like,
good to me, Dad.
Yeah, my wife, we went to there and he's like, what if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
Yeah.
He just has, like, that
sounds awesome.
He has such that kind of, like, cowboy slur to him because it's based on Clint Eastwood.
Well, if he doesn't survive, he's no good to me.
Yeah, and then they say, what if he doesn't? It completely changes that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds like
a
fucking fanboy nitpick, but I'm like, that delivery really changes the intensity of that character.
Because imagine how many recordings they did in the original film with the original actor.
Yep.
Probably 50, 60 takes. They picked the best one.
Yep.
They just had the dude come in and record for an hour.
He was recording lines. He was like a car, like, hey man, he's recording Battlefront 2 down at LucasArts. Right. Just have him fire over a couple lines.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, no, I bet you that's exactly what it was. Anyways, Aura Singh shoved off a cliff by Lando Calrissian.
She was in this. When did this happen?
There's one point when Han's talking to her before the Sabacc game, And I can't remember how it comes up, but he mentions, like, heard you took out that bounty hunter or thing. And she's like, well, she fell of something or other.
Oh, that's okay. I remember that
and
scene.
I was
just
like,
didn't
oh,
connect it.
great.
Yeah.
Lando's a woman murdering. He's like, well, she is a bounty hunter, I suppose.
She's a bounty hunter, but that's a weird way to tie up her character.
Yeah, she just got shoved off a fucking cliff. I don't know if that was a reference to something that's happened in the books, but I thought that was really weird.
There's 2 points. Oh, sorry.
And the one other thing I thought was a really cool deep cut, Terrace Kasi.
Mm.
Oh, okay. This is my relation to it. And again, I'm about to go down a fat wormhole. Such a nerd. I'm so glad there's finally a venue for this bullshit.
Except now it's like your favorite meal is the only meal. So
no, but this doesn't have any sequel trilogy shit tied to it, so that's why it makes me feel free. So Terrace Kasi, my relation to it was an old PC and I want to say PlayStation game.
Okay.
That was essentially Mortal Kombat but with Star Wars characters.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Masters of Terrace Kasi. And
was that early PlayStation? PlayStation 1?
I want to say, so let me look it up. But what was cool about it is that in that game was the first media appearance of Jodo Cost. Jodo Cost is this bounty hunter who also found Mandalorian armor.
Okay.
And was not masquerading, but going around and like getting notoriety because everyone thought he was Boba Fett. And so Fett finds out and he gets pissed. So he tracks him down. It's one of the most fucking badass comic books ever. It's called Twin Engines of Destruction.
Is that his only appearance? Is in
the
video game?
Yeah, is it? Yeah. Ever in anything else was just that one video game, and it's one of my favorite storylines. Really, really cool. Anywho, whenever Kira beats up those dudes, she says Terrace Kasi. And the droid's like, "Where'd you learn that?" And you're just—it's the Star Wars martial art.
What was the Oh, it's the martial art.
Yeah, it's a martial art form essentially.
Oh, okay, so she said jiu-jitsu in Star Wars.
Exactly, and
okay.
I'm like, come on, man. They were kind of inching in there with expanded universe references with like Han and Leia's son going to the dark side, Vader's castle. Boom! They hit me between the eyes with Terrace fucking Kasi. I was in the theater. I went, like no one else got it. I was like, oh shit.
That wasn't the character's name. That was just the martial art form.
Yep.
And so, what was the guy's name in the Boba Fett posing as Boba Fett?
He was named Jodo Kasi. He had nothing to do with the movie at all.
Okay.
He was just in this video game. It was on PlayStation.
Yeah, I remember that. They were very blocky. Looking.
Very, very blocky. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to circle back to the droids thing for a moment because I never took the droids as being overly sentient in Star Wars. They were always played for comedy, right? It's like it's almost like a pirate movie where a bird says something a little too on the nose, and you're like, yeah, the bird's it's still a bird. I never really took the droids as being like revolutionary enslaved people. I took them as comic relief. Mm-hmm. But now with knowing that they're fully sentient and wanting to lead revolutions without their restraining bolts,
yes,
that makes our beloved characters from the original trilogy
they're slaves.
Super racist monsters.
Yep, that's right.
I never saw them as that before, right?
I have a theory. Okay, and this, I can't remember if I read this in Expanded Universe or wherever, but after the Clone Wars, there was a massive distrust of droids because of the
droid army.
So the droid armies. So that's why whenever they walk into the bar in Star Wars, they're like, "We don't serve there. Get the fuck out!" Because everyone just hates droids.
See, that feels organic to the
So
universe.
then they would take it. So now every droid's got a bolt on it, and they're like, "We don't fucking like these things." We don't trust you. Yeah, like some of them are free to do whatever they want. Like IG-88 murders all of his fucking creators and becomes a bounty hunter. But like for the rest of them, it's like we don't fucking trust you anymore because we saw you murder entire planets.
Even though they did it adorably.
And Roger. Yeah, you check it out.
I hate. Of everything of the prequels,
the voices.
The one thing every time I try to watch one, I'm like, maybe I can do it. The second I hear one of those robots talk, because they get increasingly more sassy as the movies go on.
By the third one, it's like they're doing an animated Sunday morning cartoon.
They're talking back to each other, to their superiors and shit. I'm like, they were just supposed to be like fucking foot soldiers. I can't stand these cartoon.
They look so like they had nothing menacing about their design. So you could have made up for that by having them like be cool at their vocalizations, but they just compounded it by making them sound ridiculous.
If you're CGIing them all in, make all of them the big Cylon looking
guys,
one.
Yeah.
So at least it's visually interesting because the second there's a moment in the third one where they're in the fucking elevator. Remember, and drop your weapons. And then Obi-Wan and Anakin give each other this look, and I always kind of read it. George Lucas even being like, I am so sick of these robots. They're so easy to kill. Like, Obi-Wan and Anakin look at each other like, why are they here? Why is this a problem?
George Lucas created them.
Yeah, you can really feel him just like spinning his wheels with those robots. I fucking hate these.
Trying to get a battle droid in there.
That's why they're in the first third, and then they're not in the last half of that movie at all.
So, okay, I'm going to bring up some points that I made.
Round with it.
Han speaks Wookiee. Han speaks whatever they called that, Wookiees or whatever. That felt like a total Lego Guys moment. That was one of the moments where I was like, yeah, I would have fired these people too if that was the dailies they were producing. Of like, I speak a little.
I just imagine Kathleen Kennedy watching the footage being like, get me the phone.
Ron. But I think the biggest stitching of the two styles I noticed was that all the stuff that it was more visually interesting in terms of the camera movements and the angles, but the action happening in the frame was so silly and over the top. And then the Ron Howard stuff, all the action happening was really boring because it was clearly just trying to push the plot forward, and the cameras were like all locked down. They weren't nothing interesting or dynamic about his decisions.
Right.
He was just very much just getting it done because they had so little time to reshoot the entire movie. You could tell they were just bolting it out, and that was where I really started. I was like, oh, I'm finding this humor intolerable, but it's a nice shot. This must be the Lego Guys. Oh, this is boring as fuck in every level. This is probably Ron Howard.
It is a weird dichotomy of like an unsuccessful comedy and just a fucking
plain toast.
A cutscene from a video game.
Yes.
Like it just kind of bounces on the surface. You're like, nothing's really going on.
Yeah,
here.
nothing's really happening. So yeah, I think we covered the plot of it. It's just that you did perfectly. It's all that happens is that Han joins the Imperial Academy, gets reduced to a infantryman, fucks up a heist, has another heist.
The
In the end, Darth Maul shows up. As potentially a Thanos, or as a seed for the next, maybe in the next spin-off's going to be Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul.
So that's my thing. That's what I thought. The second, it took me a second, but like I was thinking about it today, I'm like, why Darth Maul?
But he kills Darth Maul, doesn't he? In
Rebels,
animated
yeah,
series?
he's already killed him. That was the end.
So that's good. And then the dice, I love like anyone.
Fuck! I'm so done with those dice.
I had many a conversation with people talking about how, like, oh, the dice were neat in The Last Jedi as sort of a way of having the character of Han there, but not really there, as keeping his presence in the movie. I was like, no, this is just set up for Solo. Just trust me. This is just. They said put these dice in because that's going to be part of Solo, and then that's exactly like their interconnected universe decisions are so weak and obvious.
Yeah.
They just stop trying to copy Marvel, even though you're all part of the same empire now.
Yeah. I like that, especially like little shit. What was there was one in one of the ships is named the Radis in
which is the Radis?
Last Jedi. Radis is the general in Rogue One, and he's also the name of the ship that they're all on, that big one that hyperspaces through.
Oh,
Snoke's.
that just shows up wherever it needs to. Deus Ex Shippa. Yeah.
Hey?
You're talking about which giant ship are you talking about?
In Last Jedi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went back to Solo. I was checking my notes and I got confused. I was thinking of this giant stupid ship in Solo.
Okay, no, fuck what I was talking about with Last Jedi. Let's talk about that. That bug the absolute
It
shit
just
out
kept
of me.
showing up.
Like, no one, at least have someone be like, I'll call him. And he pulls out a little thing and presses a button.
Yeah.
It just shows up on planets.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people partying in it all the time.
Yeah. But the set was the size of like a small living room.
So the entire ship is just that one little living room.
And then a lot of engines, I guess.
I love that,
bolted
like,
droids.
Paul Bettany could only be there for like one day, so he's just in that one room,
Yeah.
in that one costume. All right, Khaleesi, go change. We're gonna film the next.
We gotta
the
get
movie, yeah.
and we don't have really time or budget to build any kind of new set. And also, it just felt so weird because they walked in and it was obviously trying to do like the richer cantina scene. So it wasn't like all the scum and villainy of the galaxy. It was all the high class gangsters. But the room
Which we just did.
Horribly. But actually, you know what? As much as I hate the casino scene in Last Jedi, at least it was more visually interesting than a tiny room with like 8 extras in it.
I want to get back to that.
It was
How
so
this
odd.
movie kind of made me appreciate The Last Jedi
Just
a
a
little
dash
bit
more.
more. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to appreciate that movie because I really hate it. But I can see your point of how you're like, it's sort of like it's sort of like Temple of Doom after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where you're like, you know what?
At least it tried something.
At least it tried something.
And on your Indiana Jones point, remember the gopher popping out of the molehill?
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh.
That was the indication.
My uh-oh on this one was one after a long time ago using the exact same font for it wasn't a crawl, it's just like a hood radish, blah blah.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
It was the Blade Runner-esque, like just
a little
written
bit,
opening.
yeah, very Blade Runner.
And then Solo was the actual logo.
That the weird like it looked like Tron or something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like my expectations were high, but I was like, oh, this is the type of fight it's gonna be.
Usually when I go in with such low expectations, I like movies more. And this one, they were met perfectly.
Yeah,
Where I was like, oh no,
across
this
the
is
mill.
exactly what I expected. One thing I do want to say is how awkward was the bald-faced Wookiee. The bald-faced Wookiee looked like some sort of...
that.
I was trying to remember, because there's like an 80s E.T. type ripoff. I can't remember the goddamn name of it. And where it looked like the same. It was the same...
Harry and the Hendersons?
No. It was the same gross... It was like a cheap indie movie. It was like Critters kind of like level of B-movie. And they had the same face. The same bald Wookiee-looking face. And that's all I could think about as soon as that character came on.
I forgot about that.
It looked... Why was... Is that a lady Wookiee? Do lady Wookiees have bald faces? Was it an old Wookiee? Do old Wookiees lose their face hair? What was the situation going on there?
We saw a lot of them in the Revenge of the Sith, and I didn't see one bald one.
No, they just look like really hastily produced crappy Wookiee outfits in Revenge of the Sith.
I do like the way they kept Chewie lanky.
Oh yeah, no, Chewie's
The
looked
Wookiees,
great
yeah.
since I think they actually talked about that they went back to the original way
Yeah.
of making the suit.
The suit, the hair.
The sewing in the yak hair to a
It was kind of
suit.
crazy seeing Chewie muddy. I'm like, that's going to be a kick. And that awkward scene where they showered together just came back to my mind.
That just made me think of Arrested Development, of when in season 4 when Michael's showering with George Michael. I was like, why these aren't the Arrested Development guys? Why? I guess Ron Howard.
I was about to say Ron Howard.
And they were dick to dick too. They were facing each other showering.
You know, Chewie's got a monster cock.
Or I always
like,
assumed it's like a dog that goes inside him.
Because you never see it.
You never see it. It's never flopping around. What a weird way for them to meet.
And
why does Chewie hang out with him? I don't understand why Chewie didn't go his own way. He had a life debt, which is pretty fucked up too, to think that like he's in servitude.
That kind of makes sense though. If someone saves your life and it was in your culture, I'd buy it. Like
buy it, sure.
Yeah, you
But
know,
now
like they're like
there's-
giant dogs, you
Right.
know?
But now there's not even that.
No, he's just tools around with them for the fuck of
for
it.
no reason, because doesn't he? Because
He has several opportunities to leave. Like,
yeah. And is the holiday special canon? Because if it is, he's got a family waiting for him back home. So why is he out? Why is he out with these people?
I don't know. I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a movie.
The Kessel Run confused the fuck out of me.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's definitely a
Thank
movie.
you. That's what I want to get back to because she's a beaut. I love her so much. The Millennium Falcon.
I like that it was an escape pod that jettisoned. I was like, oh, that's an addition Lando made. I thought was kind of nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Just that it wasn't originally looked like that. I'm glad that they didn't imply that the Falcon base model looked like that. I like that it was an addition by the owner.
Yeah.
At least I'll give them a pass on that.
it really just felt like a shitty attempt to sell some toys.
No, that's 100% what
And
it was.
I was like, after all that, it's like, watch the escape pod. It's gone.
It's gone.
It had no relevance.
No, it's-
I was like, oh, come on.
It is 1,000% a note saying we need to sell Millennium Falcon toy sales are down. We need a new version for collectors.
Yep.
But the only thing I'm like, I wouldn't use the word praising, but saying at least they didn't go that way is at least it was an additional thing added by Lando.
Yeah.
I like that because Corellian Freighter is the Corellian Freighter. The whole point of that front is to lock onto cargo to fly in, right? I'm glad they didn't throw that out the window.
I'm just saying, man, they lost 50% of the fan base with the last one.
They've lost another 50 now.
5 months later, another one.
I'd say more than 50 lost on.
like it's not doing well financially right now.
No.
Well, at least not what they're projecting it. It was supposed to. I think it's the lowest opening since like Attack of the Clones or something.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just how many people are lining up for 9 now.
No, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because there's nothing to even there's no anticipation for 9 because 8 wasn't a to be continued.
And also 9, we're gonna be waiting over a year because it comes out December 2019.
Yeah. Right.
So like, I think they just might be burying this franchise.
They're going to need 15 years to get love back the way they did between trilogies before. So not even a year and a half until the next one's enough to sort of sit back and relax and go, oh, I'm ready for more Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like still too soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. If we do want to mention a couple positives, there were a couple positives. I liked that. I'm trying here. No, I liked that Lando called him Han.
Yes.
And he corrected him as Han.
Yeah.
I thought was funny.
That was great.
And then Carrie Fisher, because she just apparently parrots anyone she's in a scene with, doing a British accent. The first one called him Han because she was doing scenes with Billy D. Williams in the second one. But other than Carrie Fisher, those 2 times, he's called Han.
Right.
Only Lando. So
Right.
I like that. And I like seeing Sabacc because
That was very cool.
I played the shit out of Sabacc in Knights of the Old Republic back on Xbox.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I know the rules. They're actually like saying it correctly.
Were they really?
This
That's
is
awesome.
how you play Sabacc. I thought that was neat.
That's pretty cool. I love the costume design, at least
Yeah.
for Han's outfits. Like that, like the opening jacket he wore, that black and white one where they just reversed his color palette.
Yeah, it looked good.
It looked really cool.
I like Lando's, all of his costumes look very
that
Lando appropriate.
Even that Hawaiian one at the end, I was like, he kind of reminded me of Nedry at the top of Jurassic Park in that scene. I just remember the fucking orphanage scene where that slug thing comes out of the water.
That felt so... I would love to pick Ron Howard's brain to know what he did, because that felt very much like a Lego Guys moment. Because he held out the thermal detonator. So anyone who hasn't seen it, Han he's, again, as Han Solo does, he's indebted to somebody. He's fucked up a illegal sale of some kind. He gets dragged to the boss, and it's a giant millipede in the water. And Han pulls out, parodying the thermal detonator scene from Jedi, he pulls out just a ball and goes, beep, beep! I got a thermal detonator. And she's like, no, I just heard you say beep, beep. And it was just, the humor was so awkward. Yeah. I was like, this is a residual Lego Guy scene. Because they couldn't have rebuilt that set for reshoot.
That's true.
Right?
And it's a huge chunk in the movie. They're like, fuck, we have to keep this in.
And it was so awkward and so weird. And I was just, what was happening? Just what was happening?
He stole that coaxium from the crime guy, from somebody. And she knew that he had it, I believe. So
that was the thing
he handed it off to Daenerys.
Yeah.
So she was like, give it to us, but they were like, no, we're going to use it to buy ships. And he uses a rock to... Boop, boop. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew what was happening. I just didn't know what the fuck was happening.
I think I'm just saying it for myself. I'm like, did that all make sense?
Did that all work out? And then the Empire named him. So does that mean, is it like Jon Snow? Are there a ton of Solos out there?
Oh, no.
Like Rick Solo?
Oh, no. Yeah, because I bet you there's a ton of orphans on those fucking planets.
Right? That would make sense. And again, too, because the cinematography was so terrible, I didn't know what the hell was going on in that whole slug scene. The millipede scene.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
And then he blasted a hole and light came in. I was like, oh, so it's intentional. But it still looks like garbage.
Yeah, it's like they watched Fury Road and they like the nighttime scenes, but just couldn't quite get the idea of like, you need to have positive space and negative space. It can't just be all black with highlights of blue.
And what a weird way to end. Like, that's how you entered the movie.
Yeah.
Was in this like washed out mess.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't see anything. It was so frustrating.
I'm trying to think of it. I did
anything good. Yeah, anything good.
I love seeing Imperial foot soldier, like infantry. The hearing the Imperial March, but it's all positive.
When Han was in the infantry, even though they weren't.
No. When he goes to the recruitment center.
Oh,
they're playing the Imperial March, but it's like in a major key, so it's all happy. Like that.
Oh, because that's what the video, right? Join the Empire.
It's all like it's all happy and stuff. Like that's fucking hilarious.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Audibly, I just noticed the video of like the Rocketeer style video.
Yeah. But that made me laugh because I was comparing this movie a lot to the A.C. Crispin Han Solo trilogy. That's all about him, like, going from being, like, what's his name? The kid, Oliver. From being, like, a Corellian version of Oliver. He's, like, this little kid who's scared of this fucking, like, overlord named Garrus Shrike, which essentially is the millipede in this movie.
Okay.
And then he works his way up to becoming a smuggler who fights, like, in this, like, war against the Empire on, like, Nal Hutta, the homeworld. It's really cool, man. And then, like, he has this love interest that she falls in line with, like, this group of fucking freedom fighters. And
this is what Solo should have based its movie around?
I think they took facets of it, because even her character, she's kind of like this morally ambivalent, what's her name? Bria? I forget. But it's like his girlfriend. She's more like Marion from Raiders.
Okay.
Like, she's tough, and like she's kind of independent, so she's been kind of ambivalent, like doing her own thing for a while. And then she shows up. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm hanging out with this group of fucking people. They're going to take on the Empire. They're like an alliance of these rebels."
Oh, can I fund them with my take?
No, and that's what I love. He's like, "You're fucking stupid."
That's
like,
amazing.
And then of course she dies
because Han would have taken off with the spice at the end.
Well, my favorite is that she fucking dies in combat, and Boba Fett has to tell her. It's awesome. It's a scene. So he's in the cantina of Mos Eisley, and he goes down to an alleyway. Like a Jawa tells him to go outside, and all of a sudden he turns and Fett's standing there. So he's about to reach for his gun. He's like, "I just got a message from her. She's dead." And he's like, and then in that moment he's like, "I'm never gonna fucking fall in love with anybody ever again." And then Chewie,
they actually built the character up to get him to where he is in Star Wars.
This is the best part. He's like, "I'm never gonna fucking fall in love ever again." So Chewie walks up to him and taps him on the shoulder. And the last lines of the book are, he's like, "What do you mean you got a job? This is great," because they owe a huge debt to the Hutts. And he's like, "Where is he?" And he looks in the corner, and there's an old man with a hood and a kid. And I'm like, fuck, man.
Brings
like,
it around nicely.
Perfect ending. And in this one, like,
this is a trilogy now. They're planning a trilogy.
They're clearly going for an arc, so I don't know where they're gonna go with it. But as a part one, It just...
But also doesn't make sense. This is supposed to take place 10 years before Star Wars. So to end it with Woody Harrelson being like, I got a job coming up on Tatooine, big time gangster. And you're like, wait, so has Han been running from Jabba for a decade?
I would assume that Han's been working for Jabba for like a long ass time.
I guess my assumption, which I think was because there were so many references and callbacks, just bullshit in this movie, that they were referencing the job where he dumped the spice. I assumed. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just going... Because all he said was, I got a job on Tatooine lined up, big time gangster. So my brain just went to, oh, that's going to be the spice that Han dumps. But then this movie takes place 10 years earlier, so I guess maybe he wasn't referencing that particular job? I don't know.
I always thought it was canon, but I always figured Han was working for him for a long ass time.
Oh, me too, but he at one point he dumps... Right.
Yeah.
And then, so is he running from Jabba for a decade? Is that the job Woody Harrelson was referring to?
No.
So he was just
It's just one of many. The first of many.
I don't know. I mean, overall, this movie just was... That's the most infuriating part, is that it wasn't even horrible.
No.
It was just bland and boring.
Like, the train sequence I remember seeing, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I expected. It's pretty badass, but, like...
It happened way sooner than I expected.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You could have done that whole movie just about Thandie Newton and Woody Harrelson being an intergalactic Mickey and Mallory Knox going across the galaxy doing bounty hunting jobs.
But
like, that could have been the fucking film.
Were they only in there? Was Jon Favreau's little alien, who looked great, by the way. His actual animation, I was like, oh, I'll give... That's another plus I'll give the movie.
He just kept making all these little quips and
references. No, he was terrible.
Oh, I couldn't stand him.
I'd give the plus to the animation of him, because he looked awesome. But were they there just to sell toys? Because it didn't motivate Woody Harrelson one way or the other to lose his wife or whatever she was and his crew. Didn't change him at all.
Nope.
So were they just there to sell toys?
To add a minority and a woman.
Is that it?
Yep.
And an alien?
Yep. So we sell some toys.
Oh, and I think a point I want to go out on is about people bitching about Lando's pansexuality.
Is this a thing now?
This is a thing now, and I literally have seen reviews of people talking about this movie going, it was so in your face, and so that's not my Lando. And I'm like, I didn't even notice it. If you hadn't told me that Lando was pansexual, at one point he flirts with Han by calling him baby, and then there's a jokey scene where the droid says Lando wants to fuck her. But other than that, I never took if he is or isn't. So I don't care if he is or isn't. It's the people who are up in arms about this pansexuality of Lando. I'm like, I don't really, guys.
Did no one have a problem with the scene in Force Awakens whenever BB-8 and Rey and Finn walk into the bar and there's that massive gross thing with the horns?
Oh yeah,
and that thing's stroking on it. You're like, okay, they're
the
fucking.
Stroking on his...
That upsets me way more than Lando being pansexual.
I couldn't. I
couldn't
who
care. Gives a fuck?
Yeah, I couldn't care less. But I think I'm just in shock about how upset some people are over it when it was barely even skirted around in the movie.
Right.
I don't get it. I think people just need things to be angry about, ultimately.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, right?
Obviously.
The weirdest thing was whenever she was just me and Lando, we have a thing, I thought it was just the droid being kind of over projecting.
But I think
then by the end of it, but the way he's stroking its face whenever it's dying, I'm like, oh, I think he did fuck that robot at least once.
Well, she does say that it's possible, because remember Daenerys is like, is that even possible? And she's like, it's possible. So she must have a little fleshlight compartment somewhere on her person. I don't know. And it did
Oh no. What do you think he does to Lobot?
So many things.
That risk communicator has been in all sorts of crevices.
And again, an aside note is they should not have cast someone who sounded exactly like Bran of Tarth, aka Captain Phasma, because the whole movie I was like, is that Bran of Tarth? And then I had to look it up and be like, oh no, it's a different actress that sounds exactly like her.
Really did sound like her.
Why is he
execute?
So the real question here is, I think we're pretty much done. I don't know if there's much more to go on.
There's a lot more.
The ultimate question here: the Millennium Falcon has fucked Lando, because the brain of the robot Lando was fucking is now the Millennium Falcon. Mm-hmm. So is that going to be a point in Episode 9? Is Rey going to be like, hello, I finally got a voice after 30 years. How's it going, Rey? Are they going to go to that extent with the Falcon?
Oh my god. Alright guys, thanks for listening. Tune in. We're going to be doing Jurassic World in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
And then Barry after that.
Oh yeah, we got to do Barry.
We're going to do HBO's Barry after that.
Alright, so stay tuned.
And thanks for listening, guys. Check us out on spaceactionheroes.com. Make sure to check us out there. We're all over the place. Everywhere that we are links to off of the website. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Bandcamp, everything's there. So spaceactionheroes.com, and thanks so much for listening, guys. We appreciate your patronage, and we'll see you soon.
Love you.